Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate Live. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal, Patreon and crypto link in the info box below the video. Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel, so please share the show. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now, we are joined by the Adam Meakin, Ranty Flat Earth, Chocolate Saiyan, Flatzoid, Righteous Force, Paul, and have I missed anybody? 10th Man in G+. Very good to have you all.
Afternoon.
Good morning.
Morning, afternoon, wherever you've been, maybe. Hello to everyone in Discord as well.
Good morning, all.
Was that the dulcet tones of Spurs I heard then? Was that Spurs? No, maybe not. Just imagining things.
No, that was Elijah.
Just before we go on to housekeeping, Nathan, I just want to say, if anybody wants to jump on the panel tonight, Adam, if you fancy jumping on around about 10 o'clock, let us know. Or Nathan, even if you want to come on, you're all welcome. Anybody's welcome.
You need to promote it better. We've just gone live. No one knows what you're talking about. Or I'll do it if you don't.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going live tonight at 10 p.m. It's the TEOTY nominations. That's the Triggered Earther of the Year nominations. So Flat Earther, Globe Earther. Over the past year, if you've seen anybody really triggered, or you've got like a timestamp on a video where they've actually really lost it, let me know. And we're going to sort of, it's a bit of a jokey kind of thing coming up to Christmas. I don't want it to be too heavy. It's just a bit of light-hearted fun. So if you've got anybody to nominate, let me know. I've got it on my community post, and hopefully we'll get a bit of fun going over the Christmas period.
Jolly good. Any signs of Earth curvature?
Not from Big Sir.
Not on Earth.
Only in Glover's minds.
Any evidence of axial rotation?
Nope. Oh, no.
What? Are we spinning? I don't feel anything.
Can the Globers answer in the Discord? Surely they that are sitting in there must have answers for this.
Yeah, I'm on top of it today. Everyone's off mute. Maybe not Merle. Hey, Merle.
Hello.
Good to have you.
With Earth curvature, I posted a Great Circle navigation course from JFK to LAX to Mexico City back to JFK. You see that the angles of that triangle are indeed not 180 degrees, indicating it is not on a flat surface.
Why would that indicate that it's not on a flat surface?
Where are the triangles in real life?
Hold on. Why would that indicate it's not on a flat surface? Wouldn't that indicate the maps are wrong?
If a set of angles do not equal 180 degrees, but they converge at 3 points, and you do the correct calculation, you can see that it is indeed on a spherical surface.
Oh, so if you presuppose the surface that they're travelling on is spherical, it works on that map? Is that what you're saying?
No, you can measure it.
Can you?
You don't have to presuppose anything, you just measure it.
Measure it with what? The maps that you're using to verify it? What are you measuring it with?
Yeah, you can fly the route.
Sorry, with the maps that you're using to verify this with, right? So you won't actually be taking a yardstick and measuring anything. You'll verify it with the maps that you're using to make this conclusion, correct?
No.
Oh, so how are you going to measure it?
Time and distance.
Time
Well,
the distance.
can I ask a logical question of that, just really quickly, if that's all right?
Sure.
Is 1,000 miles curving and 1,000 miles level the same? Is there any differentiation between the two?
When you try to converge at 3 points and take those angles, you see that they don't equal 180 degrees.
It's not what he asked.
So
Yes,
yes, it is answering his question.
Not really. Do you want to ask your question again, Mel?
Yeah, sure. So 1,000 miles, right? So 1,000 miles curving and 1,000 miles level. Is there any differentiation between those two?
Yes.
What would that be?
When you start to converge on 3 curved lines at any 3 points, you'll notice that they don't equal 180 degrees.
I think Merle's asking, are your straight lines curved lines when you calculate your angle?
That's not what I'm talking about.
No, but that's what he's asking.
Great.
So when you calculate the angle, have you used a curved path?
You've just measured 2 points.
You have you? Can you show me that? Show me you measuring that, please.
Yeah, I just posted it.
Can someone bring up the Discord server, whatever he's just posted? This is you
I just
measuring
posted it
it.
in Discord.
This will be you measuring this, really.
Where in Discord?
Yep.
And how did you
I
measure
said,
it?
where did you post it in Discord?
Live
I
stream.
don't see it. Yeah,
It's
I'm
got
on
a
live
sky
stream.
vector.
Yeah, I don't see it.
Can you help him out, RC?
Timestamp. 56 minutes past the hour.
You hear that?
What was the question?
50. No, we're just getting the timestamp for when you posted it. 56 minutes past. For whoever's looking it up.
I reposted, no worries.
Oh, brilliant. Can someone in G Plus bring it up on screen? Thanks. So, how did you measure it? So there's 2 questions on the table. How did you measure it? Was it already presupposed to be curving? My original question.
It's not presupposed to be curving. It's simply a measurement verified by hundreds of flights a day.
Yeah, but is that measurement of a curve or not?
It's a measurement between 2 points, Nathan. It can't get any clearer.
Yeah. And is that a curve that you're taking a measurement of or not?
Or when I posted it in Master B, if you want to open
Hold on,
it.
Chocolate. He's answering.
Points.
Hold on, Chocolate. Can you repeat that, RC? I didn't hear your answer. Sorry.
I said it's not hard to understand. It's a measurement between 2 points.
You haven't answered. Adam, can you ask your question?
I just answered the question, Nathan.
I think the question, the clarity we're seeking is when you take this distance that you're saying you draw a triangle from, so from point A to B, is that a straight line distance? Do you draw straight, or as I think you started out talking about plotting great circle routes? Well, they wouldn't be straight, would they? They would be curved lines to give you that approximation to the finely formed triangle. So I think we're asking is, what shape are your straight lines? Are they straight or are they great circle routes like you first said?
They are distance between 2 points. You take 3 points, making sure that they converge back at the same one. You will get what looks like a triangle.
We heard your claim. You've made it 4 times, RC. Repeating your claim over and over and over again doesn't answer the question. Now, I already started off by saying you're begging the question, and now you've got it to the point where we're saying, are they curved or aren't they curved? And you say it's between 2 points. Yeah, well, you can take curves between those 2 points, or you can take straight lines. You're going to answer, or don't you know? I know that you will be begging the question here. You will automatically be assuming a sphere Earth, which is why you keep repeating your claim rather than giving clarity to your begging the question fallacy, which I've already rumbled you on at the beginning of this assertion. So has Adam, and so has Mel. We've all caught you, but you just want to keep repeating your claim over and over and over again. Is that the end? Silence rather than concede, you're begging the question and assuming it's travelling on a curved surface. We're not going to get to that point, not going to concede. Just going to repeat your claim again, maybe. We move on. This long, protracted
before
silence.
you move on, there's a second point of clarity I'd just like to get.
Go
as
ahead.
Well, and
be my guest.
That's regards to the angles. Now, you said you're talking about angles. Now, I'm assuming, again, this is a secondary backworking where you'll take a bearing on your flat map and then backwork your bearing to convert it into an angle that you then presuppose onto a ball model. Because obviously nobody's getting a protractor out, are they, at the flight? So everything's going to be based on bearings, isn't it? And then back calculated to assume that angle, which you then back plot onto a ball.
That's correct. Very concisely put, Adam. Well done. Yeah, precisely as I said. He'll be begging the question, using the map, not making a measurement. Correct. That's what I asserted, and that's precisely what he's doing. That's why we've got this long, protracted silence.
Yeah. A very long straight line, but that straight line is to them not actually straight. No, it's an R-based straight line.
Yeah. Tried to weasel in R, didn't you there, Icy? Didn't want to admit it, wanted to repeat your claim 5 times. So, should we move on? Any evidence of the R value? Earth radius, the one that was presupposed in this crap example? Any evidence of the R value? RC Meisty, maybe? No? Protracted silence for this one as well? Just tried to hustle it in there, in the middle of housekeeping. R value. Any evidence thereof?
RC Meister's a hustler.
Yeah. I've told you, all they can do from now on is try and find more and more ingenious ways of working in the begging the question fallacy that is assuming Earth is a sphere at the beginning of your assertion. That's all they can do from now on. Figure out more and more tricky ways of doing it. And then you get that protracted silence right at the beginning when I say, this will be begging the question, then won't it? No. It's just the point between 2 points, minus the admission that you're assuming an R value between those 2 points, right? The R value, any proof of it?
Is this the same curvature that Neil deGrasse says we can't see until we go really high?
Oh, we've gone beyond that. We've gone beyond curve and axial rotation. We're now onto the only thing they can use to try and claim they've proved a sphere Earth, which is assume the R value, as done in the last example. I'm asking for evidence of that. No? Nothing? Anybody? Just Weasley ways of trying to work it in?
Straight lines.
Weasley ways of trying to weasel it in?
I don't understand where did RC Meister go? He doesn't have a rebuttal to this, or what happened? Did we give up?
Rebuttal. There is no rebuttal to this. He knows he's begging the question. I knew he was begging the question immediately. Merle knew he was begging the question. Merle, right? Merle spotted it. Everyone spotted it. Let's move on. Any evidence you can have gas pressure?
And went home.
Yeah, give up. He knows when he's defeated. It's quite amusing though. Any evidence you can have gas pressure without a container?
Well, there was that space dust that Spurs brought to the table.
Space dust? I don't want to know about that party.
Of the balloon.
Oh, right, the talcum powder inside the. I'm sure it's not talcum powder, but.
Sorry, space dust was a little dramatic.
He just ignores everything. I was like, you can see gas. Yeah. No, you can't see gas. Yeah, you can. Look, I'll show it you. That's not gas. What are you talking about?
On that, Nath, right, I was thinking maybe it's all us that should get voted for Triggered Earther when responding to Spurs, because in 6 months he's been pressing our buttons on this.
Well, there's a big difference between getting annoyed in the moment And then, once the moment has passed, you basically don't care, or I certainly don't care. I didn't give Spurs a second thought after that show with Ranty, entertaining though I'm sure it was for an audience, to, hash out these things when it comes to things like there being no air pressure on Earth, which is essentially his assertion. Ludicrous and frustrating and entertaining, but quickly forgotten about. It's like, yeah, great, Spurs is an ace guy. I've spent time with Spurs. We went out to St. Bees with him. He's a good guy. So there's no love lost between us whatsoever. But what my point was going to be was that there is an underlying pain with our opponents. When we say share your pain, we mean it. We know that they're cognitively in pain. Well, we're not. I sleep perfectly well.
I was gonna say, Nathan. I mean, I think we're quite a good example because after a painful summer of pressure with Spurs, I did go away and do his logo under no pressure, his website and the like. So it's a slightly different, much better natured level of disagreement. Yeah, I don't suppose triggering. I do. He's infuriated at times because he won't listen or he refuses to respond to the point. A bit like what we just had there, doesn't he? But yeah, I do love him.
The thing is, it's audibly tongue in cheek, and what I mean by that is if you listen back to Ranty's show, I even say it. So he asserts at one stage, they say we have gas pressure here. And when he says that, you can hear him smiling. You can hear it.
Check this. This is what I got the following morning off Spurs. I fucking brilliant. Hello, morning. Just to clear up what you said yesterday, I think your conclusion was that the cork should have popped at 100,000 feet. Right. Is that really what I said, Spurs? Don't worry, we can talk tomorrow over a pint because I was supposed to go to London, weren't I? But it is totally tongue in cheek. He properly knows how to wind you up, doesn't he, Spurs?
But still. Right, let's move on. Any evidence in the entire history of the fields of cosmology, astronomy, or astrophysics of any viable hypothesis?
No.
Was there
Still
something where they shot a laser into the sky to try and create a star or something?
That's not really a hypothesis.
Now, just watching things transpire and then drawing conclusions is not science. But if they would actively interact with it and manipulate them, maybe it could be in some way scientific. But they don't do that because then they would have to openly admit that they're not giant balls of fire at endless distances away.
Just maybe give clarity to what I mean. A hypothesis is a scientific prediction. It establishes your presumed cause, independent variable, of an effect, dependent variable. The effect being an observed natural phenomena. In your hypothesis, you will have two sides, an alternative and a null. Your alternative will establish an affirmative claim, if you will. If this, then that. If A, then B. Your null will be the antithesis of your prediction. If A, not B. Now, because it has this mirror, if you will, the antithesis, the null hypothesis, it gives you, upon experimentation, an empirical outcome. You will either confirm, validate, if you will, or invalidate your hypothesis. And if you invalidate your positive assertion, your presumed cause, then ipso facto you validate the null. So what we're looking for, not even an experiment, is a viable hypothesis. That would be to say that it has an independent and dependent variable at the very minimum established within the formulation of an alternative and a null. That's a hypothesis, a scientific prediction. So don't need lasers firing into the sky. That's definitely not a hypothesis. It'd be great if the hypothesis we get would be capable of testing. That would be good too. But at this stage, we're just asking for any viable hypothesis. That would be a scientific prediction from cosmology, astrophysics, or astronomy. Any of them. Any viable hypothesis.
I have a question on that. Because apparently there are people who still feel like you don't need to vary an independent variable. Is that something that you would need to do to conduct a scientific experiment?
Well, yeah, your question kind of relates around what an independent variable is. So an independent variable would have to fulfill a few criteria. One would be it's got to be real. Two would be it's your presumed cause of the effect. And three, it must be capable of being varied by you, the researcher. So the ability of variation
that's
is definitely...
incorrect.
Oh, really?
Ooh. Oh, really?
It does not have to be. It does not have to be varied by the researcher. It can be varied in any causal way.
Yeah, I was gonna say that they're gonna have an objection to that, and then I always ask, okay, well, where? Let's.
All right. Do you want to give us an example?
Any type of measurement or variable needs to be manipulatable or manipulated in some type of predictable way.
What does manipulation mean?
By the researcher. It can be either done by the researcher or by some type of variable that can be reliably predicted so that your results are therefore valid and reliable.
If you aren't the one that manipulated
what does manipulation mean exactly?
I said manipulated or manipulable. So meaning
what does that word mean? What does that mean?
It can be changed.
Yes,
that can be changed.
Don't babble on. What's the definition of manipulate? What does that mean?
To change.
You got a citation?
You can Google it yourself, Nathan.
I'm asking you. You used the word. Being capable of manipulation.
No, actually, you asked me and I gave you an answer.
Yeah, now I want you to define your answer.
I just did. To change. It's pretty darn simple, Nathan.
Well, change means change.
Okay. Manipulate is another way
if I look it up, because you can't be asked and you've told me to Google it, so I have. It says handle or control. And then it's got examples, a tool, mechanism, information, etc. In a skillful... I haven't finished. Do you mind? You told me to Google it. Why are you interrupting me? Hello? Why are you interrupting me? You told me to Google it. It was a word you used when saying that, no, it's not got to be handled. But yet in the first word it says handle. You're saying it doesn't need a researcher to be... I'm talking. Again, you seem to be interrupting me a lot when you're getting held to task on your total nonsense. When I look up the word manipulate, the first word is handle. Now, unless I'm misunderstanding what handle means, but I assume that means my hands. Now, you, on the other hand, think that I don't have to get involved when varying a variable. Well, you're wrong. Manipulation involves me handling it. So, you're incorrect. Having looked up and Googled, as requested by you, a definition of the word you used to define something not being needed to be handled, yeah, it does. That's what manipulate means.
And you completely ignore the second half of the definition.
RC Meister.
Sorry, I ignored the definition that I read out. I read it out. You told me to go and Google it.
You ignored the second half.
Sorry, ignored the second part. I'm the one reading it. Have you cited this? Have you got it up on screen? No. So what are you talking about? I haven't missed anything. Dictionary. Handle or control, and then it gives examples in brackets, a tool, mechanism, information, etc., in a skillful manner. And then it gives a quoted example. He manipulated the dials of the set. So, in the example, it's got a person handling something. To manipulate means to control something with your hands. Well, that's what manipulation means when you're talking about varying a bloody variable. As specifically designated by me, it needs to be varied, manipulated, by a researcher. So, yeah, there's got to be a researcher manipulating it involved in that process. Not just letting it happen. No, that's not what manipulation means. You're just wrong. Having told me to go and Google search the word you used to say that that word doesn't mean you've got to get involved. Yeah, it does. Handle. You're done, RC Meisty. Any more interruptions?
This is why I asked the question, because I knew it would draw one of them out.
Oh, he left.
Yeah,
Can I make an interruption? I want to make an interruption right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I just learned something interesting this weekend. I always used to wonder, why the Globies are so mad and pissed off at us. And I just had this epiphany, like, most nerds have hobbies that allow them to escape reality. Think Dungeons and Dragons or World of Warcraft. And in the same way, these Globies use a heliocentric model as a mechanism to escape reality. And why would they want to do that? And there are reasons for that. Like, if you look like a gremlin in real life, if you're 5 feet tall with a hunchback in real life, then you're gonna hate reality. You're not gonna, you're gonna have escape mechanisms that allow you to not deal with what you really look like in real life. If you're Quasimodo, the guy that rings a church bell every morning, you're gonna hate life. And a lot of these trolls look like that. They look like vultures and like pterodactyls. They look horrible. No wonder they hate life.
Taxis.
I gotta get my composure. Pissing myself here.
So who looks like a pterodactyl?
Looks like a pterodactyl. Some guy that showed up to the Lite tour. I'm sure some of you guys know who that is.
Look, without
yeah,
talking about anybody.
He's hideous.
Stop. Without talking about any specific people, right? There's often depictions in cartoons and adult, TV shows where they show what is a stereotype of a troll. And they'll literally show you a monster, a little trolley monster, in front of his keyboard going, "Here, I hate everybody. You're all scum and evil." Right? Well, that is what they're like. There's a reason for that stereotype, because they are like that. That's what trolls are like. Soulless people in front of the keyboard.
I honestly didn't think they really looked like that. I was shocked and surprised.
Oh, right. I wasn't, and I'm not at all, because... right, back in the day when I was about 18, I'd kiss goodbye to all computers. My folks ran a computer shop. I grew up with computers, and I eventually hated them by the time I left home at like 16. So there was a couple of years where I didn't have any computers in my life, and then my folks sold the business and gave me a computer. So this is 1998, and I just got a free, fully interneted up, does everything computer. And I'm like, oh, okay, fair enough. And some guy from work came in, and I told him I got this computer I wasn't using, and he couldn't believe his ears. So he set it all up for me, showed me AOL, and introduced me to Instant Messenger, which is now so common, right? Back then, it was a revelation. And you could just go and find somebody on the internet and start chatting to them. And he was like, watch this. Find some random girl. What colour pants have you got on? I'm like, that's gross. I don't like that. I don't want to do any of that. That's horrible. It's like, but you can be whatever you like. And this guy was a bit of a weasel. He was about 5 foot. I'm not even joking. Sam, if you're listening to this, I'm so sorry. But anyway, right, he was a bit of that kind of character. But I was like, no, I want to use my real name with my date of birth at the end. So Nathan Oakley 1980 was actually my original email. I've still got it. I still use it as my screen name on this site. But the point is that some people just don't need to hide their identity and be a troll. Some people do. And those people were immediately prevalent to me back in 1998, because I wanted to go out and meet people, socialise, meet women, get laid, all that kind of stuff. And I did. Now, back then, you were called a predator if you were trying to chat women up on the line. Oh, you're grooming them immediately, because all paedophiles were in the news. So as soon as you're online looking for women, oh, well, you're grooming girls. No, I just want to get laid. I'm not interested in children. But the fact that it's in the news means that everybody's talking about it. Now, dating online, I met my wife on a dating site. That's totally normal and common. And there's an actual, action for catching these predators. I've been watching a lot of Chris Hansen, in case you can't tell. So anyway, there's like segregated parts of society that are going after the monsters, the true monsters of the internet, as opposed to just assuming you're one of them because you're online. Now, the point of all this is I met some of these people, the catfish, the trolls. Back then, there was not even photo messaging. So people would tell you what they like, what they look like, with a short description. You know me, I put 6'2", hazel eyes, you know, broad, stunning, beautiful, chiseled features. You know, you just lie, right? And then eventually you'd meet, and somebody who said that there was a 5'8" brunette with a slim figure and a great personality would turn out to be 25 stone, 5 foot, and rather ugly. You know, people would lie. But the point is, you get to meet some of these characters, and I always knew that behind every single chatty chat box was a real person. Now, so many times when I got to Flat Earth, and it's like back to the same structure. YouTube's no different to bloody AOL. You've got your instant messaging, you've got your chat room going by, which is basically the same as a chat room on AOL. You've got your forum underneath the video. It's the same as a AOL forum. You know, the only real difference is there's a video playing. But the structure is pretty much identical, so none of this is new to me. In fact, it's far from new. But the way that people behave is never going to change. Your average Joe who can't go out and get a woman and generally is looked down upon, in most cases literally looked down on by most people, they're going to get the means to suddenly be whatever they like. You know, and quickly they realise that they can only extend that, you know, that sort of second life in the computer. It doesn't really extend beyond the fibre optic cables that they're connected to. So, you know, eventually that's going to poison them. It's going to get into their mindset, and they're going to feel resentful to the people who do go out and extend those kind of ways and being and those, what for them are lies, in their real everyday life. They hate those people, and they become a physical embodiment of what they actually are. Little trolls and dwarves and what's the other one? Munchkins, whatever you want to call them. They're these little horrible little people that are generally quite grotesque, that go around telling everybody else how grotesque they are. Well, you know, it's just projection. I mean, this is nothing new to me. So all the trolls, I laugh at them. I call them my fuzzy little sods, and I talk about rubbing their hair in the chat rooms because I know what they're really like. And when it turns out they are some 5 foot little hunchback, you go, yeah, I'll ruffle your little head. Were you flushed down the bog at school? Yeah, I bet you were. There are nasty people who do that to people like you because you're little. And that's how life's treated you, and I can totally understand why you're now a little Napoleon. You know, running around like George Nettingit, going after people's jobs. Well, I understand that. I can totally get it. It doesn't make it right. It doesn't make that person any less of a total shit. But ultimately speaking, at least you've got some sort of explanation for it. Go, right, yeah, you've probably been bullied your entire life. Anytime anybody encounters you in public, they're probably slightly disrespectful to you. Well, you know, that's going to grate. Not my fault. And happy days, I'm not like that. Woohoo! But, you know, for you, I can feel a bit of sympathy. You know, you ugly little trolls. You know.
You've had a super chat, Nate.
It's the internet. It's virtual reality. It allows people to be things that they're not in real life. It's a man behind the curtain effect, where people sound like alpha males on the internet when it's really just an insect with a megaphone. And you don't really know that until you actually see what these hunchback insects look like.
The fact that they can't step out into the real world as that figure that they've created, it gets really frustrating, I'm sure.
Yeah, generates resentment, precisely. Shout out to the flatearthchannel.com who says, hey Nathan, sorry we didn't do that live stream on Red Pill channel. He's referring to Red Pill Philosophy channel, subscribe today, because he got a YouTube strike. Oh, no, that's not so good. When I got to town. Oh, that's disappointing. I was looking out for it, flatearthchannel.com. But there we go. To be fair, I thought you said dearth, so I was looking on the wrong channel anyway. But thank you for letting me know, because I was actually looking out for it, and I really appreciate your super chat. Also, Hunchback of Notre Dame, thank you very much for the super chat. Cat Earth stole my neck.
This is horrible.
Very funny. Any evidence of the distance to the sun?
No.
There is no evidence even that the sun is a physical, tangible object that you can establish a distance to. So, to me, first you would need to crystallize whether the sun is actually a physical object at some distance, and then maybe go around measuring it.
Agreed.
Okay, thank you.
Ranty, go on mute.
I've got to get rid of these tears. I'm crying here. Is there any scientific evidence of gravity?
What is it?
Gravity is the solution to a problem that only exists in the heliocentric model.
I think I've got my composure back now. Brilliant. I think that concludes the housekeeping.
I can't breathe.
I got
All
away
right.
for 2 seconds. What did I miss?
Just an amusing super chat, that was all.
Hey, Nathan, how about that Flat Earth football team in Madrid, the third division team?
Yeah, Vice did a video on it, and as soon as it came out, I happened to be looking at my subscriptions when it was like, you know, and you refresh your subscription feed, and it's like 1 second ago, Vice Media with a flat Earth video, 0 views. I'm like, gotta get in there. So I got and immediately posted something, words to the effect of, outer space is fake, you can't have gas pressure without a container, and just left it at that, and then copied the link, spammed it in a few Skype groups. I'm like, can you go and make a primary comment on this? And whatever, you know, get some proper pro flat earth comments on there, because it's going to be full of poison within about 10 minutes. Unfortunately for me, big shout out to, I think, The One and Dearth and Mark Sargent, Sleeping Warrior. Who else did I see? There was a few others that immediately did it. They just went straight to the video, liked my comment, so it had a few replies. Obviously, I went in on all of my accounts and replied to myself just to get it higher up the list in the first couple of minutes. But yeah, it got shooted down because obviously the thumb down votes on your comments just don't show, but they will shove it down the list. So it got immediately relegated, but it had like, probably still has the most replies that they'd got. So some of them were like 300 thumbs up on a comment, but 1 or 2 replies, or 10 by now probably. But, you know, within an hour, it had about 40 replies to this one comment about space isn't real because the sky can't be a vacuum, the gas would fill the space. With lots of other people, like I say, Dearth was in there. Quantum Eraser, that's who I forgot. It's because I big shout out to him. So he went in and was just responding to everybody like he does in details. You know, endless paragraphs addressing every point that they put in there, pulling apart their straw men and giving the actual answers. I was just like, when I read it, I went back after a couple of hours, and you know, to the chat thread. You know, thank you very much, all. I'm out. Radius Dominus, Gravita Spiritus Sanctus. May the natural force of gravity be with you. And then, like I say, I just did go back later on to see QE had just done reams of it, replying to everybody. I was like, oh wow, thank you very much. So yeah, Flat Earth Football, FC, Flat Earth FC.
Nice bloke. I spoke to the president in the summer, you know, Nathan. I was trying to line it up to get the Euro Tour to go there, but yeah, quite a passionate bloke who was just explaining, you know, it is the reason he did it is as obvious as what it was. It was just to promote the name and get it out there. He's still very serious about his football club. So yeah, good luck to him. Yeah, top bloke.
What I saw, which was kind of funny, is a lot of triggering in the comments. A lot of Globers upset at Vice for even playing the thing. So I thought it was kind of funny. And I'm like, well, I guess you guys are in for a hell of a show because this is just beginning. So,
yeah, people want to be left alone in their religious belief, and they especially don't want it pointing out that it is a religious belief. Look, we already know it's a globe. We just don't want to think about it. Get this away from us. You know, that's kind of the attitude I got from the comments. Pretty much what you're saying, Chocolate. People just want to be left alone. And you think, well, that's fine, but so do we. And all we're doing is saying, yeah, reality isn't this model that you guys all believe in. But that suddenly gets us a load of ridicule. But yet you want Vice to just leave you alone when there's obviously a newsworthy story in regards to this football club deciding to rename the team Flat Earth Football Club.
I think he's going to do well.
He's got a much bigger audience, even if it's not necessarily in the stands.
That's what I'm saying. I think he's going to, with that strategic move to name that club, what he did, it's going to pay off in spades for him down the road, because it's, as we know, Flat Earth is not dying, it's growing.
You know what the best part is though? I got a lot of people at my job who are soccer fans, big soccer fans. And the other day when that one of those articles came out about the soccer team changing its name, I went around and showed them, and they all just looked at me like, "Oh my god, like really?" And I said, "Yep, really. Think it's just me? You think I'm just the crazy one? Well, look, you got a soccer team that just changed their name to that shit. So there you go. Enjoy." And they just kind of didn't really want to talk to me much after that.
Hopefully, Sleeping Warrior's around because I want to find out a little bit about how their league works, which he might know because he's into football. Because is there a chance that there's in the same way we used to have like I don't know what it's called in terms of the cup now, but it used to be the League Cup, where basically you'd have third division teams playing first division teams potentially. So in other words, could it be the case that you end up with some really well-known football team playing Flat Earth FC in a league match, in a league cup?
That could happen, yeah. It's not likely to happen because they've got to be really good and they're in the bottom division, aren't they? So it's
Copa del Rey. They're playing.
But no, the bottom division, though.
But it does happen.
The Copa del Rey, isn't it?
Yeah. They do have a domestic cup that would work like that. Yeah.
Perfect. So there's a potential that you could end up with. I appreciate they've got to be a good team and actually win a few matches to get to be playing in a League Cup match against a decent team. But there's still, while people are, they're only in a lower league, it's like, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're not going to be paired up against somebody who's televised or somebody who's well known. that could still very well happen.
Yeah. I was looking at if we were to do the same thing with a league team that was like based in England. I was looking at League Division 2, which is the old 4th division, and like the bottom 3 or 4 teams. Like, let's have a look. We've got Morecambe, Stevenage, Carlisle, Oldham Athletic. They're all teams that would be worth buttons. We could all chip in a £5 and probably get change left over for a packet of chips, and we could buy one of these clubs, and then we could do the same thing. It'd be brilliant because eventually we could end up playing the likes of Liverpool, United, Chelsea, whatever. That'd be ace. We should do that. That would be a brilliant advertisement.
Look into it.
Or
I was looking at one that was local.
Why not look into getting sponsorship on one of the boards at Liverpool?
Can you imagine though? Let's just say you bought Oldham Athletic, right? And then you announced that you were going to rename it to Flat Earth United. All your sponsors would immediately disappear.
Yeah, but it's not going to be. Oh, is Oldham that low? Is it like Kidderminster Harriers level?
Well, I mean, there's Salford City. They're the new Man United team, aren't they? Port Vale, Plymouth Argyle. Yeah, these are all in the bottom of the lowest division in the football, like the proper leagues. Mansfield Town, Leyton Orient, Grimsby. Walsall will be cheap though, because they've already got Aston Villa. They've already got a couple of Birmingham teams: Birmingham City, Aston Villa. Walsall's like the kind of Tranmere Rovers, but of the Birmingham part. That'd be one of the cheapest ones because they've already got 2 big teams there.
Shout out to Alexander. He says heliocentrism is the biggest religion on flat Earth. In they trust.
Heliocentrism is a religion. Literally a religion.
Correct. They don't like that.
Is QE here?
No, I don't think he is.
Dang it.
Sorry. Did we finish
Can
housekeeping? I don't know if we did actually finish housekeeping. Did we cover everything?
You'd finish with the distance to the sun, I think.
Did we get the molten iron core? I don't think so.
What
Any
molten
evidence
iron
of
core?
a self-perpetuating molten iron core at the centre of that presupposed spherical Earth?
Nah.
No, I think that is it. I think we did cover everything else.
Can I take it back to RC Maisty for a minute?
I don't think he's here. Is he?
No, I know. No, I just want to have a discussion among us here about his call this morning about triangles and curved and straight lines. He was so willing to believe that math, but when we ask him about 8 inches per mile square, he dismisses that math. Is that interesting?
Interesting. You mean zealotry?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the whole point is he comes here and says there's a curved line for this triangle using some kind of computer model for airplane flights. And his own side gives 8 inches per mile square for the circumference of the globe of what the curvature should be. And he backs away from that because it doesn't work, but he wants us to believe this fairy tale curved triangle line. I mean, this guy's insane.
Yeah, as I said, we've got to figure out more and more ingenious ways of working in the begging the question fallacy, because it's all they have. Every single claim to be globe proof ever starts by assuming you're on a sphere. As did that. They all do. There won't be any exceptions to that. But it's nice to hear them trying to weasel it in.
1000 out.
Go ahead, say again. Is that Travis?
Sorry, am I stepping on someone?
No, go ahead, Travis.
Yeah, I took out that P1000 for the first trial run, and well, that's got quite a learning curve to it. I read about half the instruction manual, thought I'd be all right for my first go, and I got some interesting footage, but I wasn't looking across nearly as far as I thought I was. It turns out I was only about 3.7 miles, but it seemed like it was pretty far. I was able to see, underneath docks.
Go over the curve at 3.7, you know.
Yeah, I think I know exactly what you're detailing, because I did the same with my telescope in terms of how easy you think it will be, and I'm sure Rantiers is on the panel will back that up in terms of you've got to know what you're doing to actually get stuff to even be visible at those sorts of distances that he and Sleeping Warrior are capturing. But yeah, you'll get used to it.
I took Sleeping Warrior's advice about doing the manual focus, but I still gotta play with it. So, but it was still cool. I was able to see, underneath docks 3.7 miles away at like 2.5 feet of height off the water, just sitting down on my bum, looking down. It's about 2.5 feet or so, right on the beach. So I don't know. I'm addicted. It's fantastic. Can't wait to, I got so many other areas that I can explore. So if anybody wants to know where I am, I'm in Washington State in the United States, Puget Sound area. So, yeah, thanks.
Hey, do us a favour. Tell Ranty how to do focus lock, because he doesn't know how to use focus lock and he desperately needs it.
I do know how to use focus lock.
Oh, so you just choose not to do it then?
Wow.
Oh. Everyone okay? Right, I've got you on screen, Ranty.
Right. I want to shout out to this channel, Exploring the Plane. Now, I've been a subscriber of his for, I would say, perhaps 6 months, maybe more. I have shouted about before, but he does some excellent observations. So if you guys are interested in the stuff that he's got, head on over there and have a look. But this is an excellent observation of his. Again, from 6 feet, he's looking at 22.6 miles away. He's looking at the Mull of Galloway Lighthouse in Scotland. Now, Earth curve, if you believe in a globe, should say that the Earth curve would be essentially where my cursor is right now. So all of the lower part of the building would be missing, the walls, etc. There'd just be the top part of this visible. As you can see, we're seeing far, far more than we should. As soon as we see that, of course, it automatically then becomes a hologram. So everything that you're looking at now is a hologram. It's not really there. As soon as you see further than you should, it automatically becomes a hologram. But massive shout out to his channel. I've actually done a comparison of the lighthouse here. So this is the lighthouse. There's another image of it. There you go. You can see, line it up side by side. Absolutely beautiful observation. Again, as I say, we are missing some. That has to be said. If it was perfectly flat, it should be down here somewhere. However, we can account for that by the movement of the oceans. They are yet to show us that looming can happen, that these buildings can be loomed up beyond Earth curve and visible in the observation. As I say, absolutely perfect proof. Go and subscribe. Exploring the Plane.
Leave it up a sec. So this is Galloway Lighthouse at a distance of
22.6 miles, Nath.
So Galloway Lighthouse at 22.5 miles. As a flat earther, that is the end of our statement. Say it with me. Galloway Lighthouse, 22.5 miles. Right? Anybody disagree?
Nope.
Right. If you are a fundamentalist religious zealot with a globe belief, that is not Galloway Lighthouse at 22.5 miles. It is in fact a slightly looming, non-standard refraction, holographic projection of Galloway Lighthouse from behind the reified edge of an Earth curve based on a begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking Earth curve calculator and an radius value which will be reified into the leading edge of a sphere to make a lighthouse we as flat earthers simply call Galloway Lighthouse at 22.5 miles into a hologram that isn't really there. According to globe zealots, it's a mirage. It's not really just a lighthouse at a very far distance. We're not really seeing it. It's not really there. It's all a mirage.
Can I just endorse Ranty's suggestion of that exploring the plane channel? I'm also sub to his channel. He does all the work around the Northwest that I really should have been doing, but never got round to. His videos are excellent. Check out his historic videos as well. They are far better than most flat earthers' videos, including my own. So make sure you go and sub to his channel because he's definitely worth it, the sub, because his work's really, really good.
And he puts the effort in, he puts the time in, he puts the work in, he gets out. He's always putting videos out. If you like the sort of content that I've put out in the past, and Nate and Tony, go and subscribe. You won't be disappointed.
Could you put out a link in the YouTube chat?
Of course I can. That right now. Exploring them. Can you approve this, Nathan? I'll put it into the side chat now.
Okay. It may not appear at all. Probably better off sticking it in Master B. And I can just paste it straight in.
Sure. So, yeah, Lighthouse, we see it. End of story.
Prior to Flat Earth, they all would say they see it. But now it's got to be looming because we're holding them to task.
When you realise there's no evidence for this ball that we're told we live on, you have to wonder, like, how is it that the ballers like keep people so interested in the topic when there is no evidence that any of this is true? It's just shitty evidence that everybody used to believe but no longer does. It's just amazing how people don't realise.
Right, can I sneak in?
It's because they are still allowing for the logical fallacy. So until there's an education on how logical fallacies take place in nations, they will never think anything of it. So they'll say, okay, let me hear your argument for why there are satellites in space. Never mind the fact that you can't have gas pressure without a container. So that's how it happens, and that's how it'll continue to happen until the actual problem is addressed, which is the way people think and how they think these things.
A quick shout out to Brian's logic. He says, Nathan, if everyone buys a jersey, then the team will gain money and success as they can afford to buy new players. I think he's referring to Flat Earth FC. It's a very good point. You know, that's the kind of thing that I know people like buying. Certainly here in Britain, people like buying soccer teams' jerseys. And if it says Flat Earth FC on the actual jersey itself, it's like kind of a double whammy, isn't it? I know people like that kind of merchandise. But you're absolutely right, Brian. Thank you very much for the super chat as well. Yeah.
I'm already in conversation with them through the internet for a jersey.
Very cool. You know, that's kind of, I've got no interest in soccer, but
Travis, the Globers don't trust what we have to say because they're only going to trust experts in physics and math. And if we're not that, then they're only going to appeal to authority.
That's okay. I mean, I don't care. You know, if people can take or leave what we've got to say here as far as I'm concerned. But as I said at the beginning, or it might have been on the pre-show, they're in genuine pain, cognitive pain, people who oppose us on this side of the argument. They're not leaving these shows and getting on with their life. They're leaving these shows in abject frustration and leaving 25 comments underneath it. Well, great for me in terms of my
different stock accounts.
Say
That's
again?
the other thing. They all have numerous stock accounts to make it look like there's hundreds of people that hate you, and it's like 3. That's it.
They're paying, we've taken their fantasy away from them. We've taken their escape mechanism away from them. So of course they're going to be mad at us. Like when you take a ball from a baby, that baby's going to be mad.
But the problem is that they don't believe that their ball is being taken away. They don't believe that flat Earth is growing. And that's one, because of the suppression and censorship of it on Google and YouTube and other various places. But not only that, like you can hear them say, oh, there's not that many flat earthers, there's not that many flat earthers. I was just looking at this Nathan Thompson had posted a video about it's called Flat Earth. The gamers have figured it out, and it's like 53 seconds long, and it shows how this guy is just playing in some game, and he's live, and he's like, "What? You think that there are more people who believe in Flat Earth than Globe Earth? Let's do a poll right now. I'll show you right now. Here, live. Look at this. Look. Everybody's like 80% or 70% Flat Earth." And he's just gobsmacked. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen. But people don't believe that that's true.
When the Globers say that flat Earth is dying or the numbers are dwindling, they're not talking to us. They're talking to the audience, like the people that are newcomers that are listening to these conversations. They want them to hear that so that they can get discouraged. It's all part of their tactic. They want people to believe that it's dying when it's not. They want people to believe that the censorship isn't real when it is. All part of their tactics.
Okay, there's a couple of super chats, one of which I do actually want to talk about. The other is just amusing. So shout out to the Hunchback of Notre Dame, who says, I live in a lighthouse I made with a Lucasade bowl. Thank you very much for the super chat. Also, shout out to Andy Skinner. He says, could you please help me understand the default Globus pressure gradient argument? Yeah, sure. So pressure gradient is a delta of gas pressure, and in order to have gas pressure you've got to have a container. So by taking the argument away from the question, you essentially offer up a red herring argument to argue about the gas pressure gradient. Now, originally, when we were first making this point concisely understood by the audience, we wouldn't even argue about the gradient. We just said, no, that's a red herring, because it doesn't address the original question. How can you have gas pressure without a container? To have gas pressure, you first must have a container. Now, beyond having the gas pressure to begin with, you can then form pressure gradients if you've got dynamic systems. But the gas pressure gradient leads them to assert that it's logically sound to infer that it goes down and down and down to nothing, which would mean there is a void, which is what they claim in their religion, a sky vacuum. Well, unfortunately, no. The gas would want to fill the available volume, so it doesn't go down and down and down to zero. In the first instance, the gas must be contained for it to then form a pressure gradient. So they're asserting something that is obvious and true as a defence to then beg the question that therefore there's a sky vacuum. But it doesn't address the actual question in housekeeping. How can you have gas pressure without a container? The way you get around it, if they assert, well, we've got a gradient, you're denying the gradient. Well, first address the question. How do you have gas pressure in the first instance without a container? Please demonstrate that which you claim is possible, because that is their religious system. A sphere Earth without containment next to a vacuum. Well, if they're going to assert that you can have gas pressure in the first instance without a container, as is the case with their sphere Earth in a vacuum, then they need to demonstrate it's even possible. Roll on hillbilly... Go on.
You haven't answered his question, or he didn't ask what's our position. He asked what the Globus position is. You haven't answered that question.
Their position is there's a gradient, which there is.
Yeah, they think that you don't have 14.7 psi next to a vacuum. I heard Fight the Flat Earth say recently we don't have 14.7 next to a vacuum. Well, actually, they do. They're just in denial because he thinks and he tells people that they have 14.7 next to 14.6. 14.6 is next to 14.5. So what that means is he infers that the rest of the gas pressure isn't pushing from below, which would make it a density gradient, but it's actually a pressure gradient. So all of it's pushing. But for some reason, in fact, the flat Earth tells people that it's only the very top skin, like the top few molecules that peel away into the atmosphere. That's not true. All of the atmosphere is pushing, because otherwise you wouldn't have the pressure differential. If it was the case that none of the atmosphere was pushing apart from the top skin, the pressure would all be 0.1, and it would only be the top skin that was slowly flittering away into the atmosphere, into space. Well, that's not what the model says. The whole atmosphere's got to go. It's sudden, it's immediate, and it's violence the bigger the number. And that 14.7 is massive.
And with that, I'll say if you're watching this on the Nathan Oakley 1980 premiering live stream, then this is where we bid you farewell. However, if you're watching on the Nathan Oakley premiering stream, then stay tuned, as there will be an after show to follow. A massive, huge, enormous thank you to all of you in the Discord and G Plus panels for making this live show possible. I've been Nathan Oakley. As I say, stay tuned if you're watching on the premiering stream, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!